3. Hello, GDQ Games Committee. My name is Osmorn, and I'm actually re-recording this submission because we recently found a skip that will lower my estimate significantly, and I was advised to re-record this and submit it again, as I can, change out the video. And so I'm hoping to give a good showcase of the new strats that we found. And of course, as in the previous video, I will be putting timestamps in the description to all the really cool parts of the run. And otherwise, this is Trifox. It's a 3D platformer that's like a twin stick, and it is inspired off of like classic 3D platformers like Crash Bandicoot. And I'm hoping to give a good showcase of this game today. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We're going to be going straight into the game, and we're going to be playing on the normal difficulty. We have various amounts of difficulties in this game, but just the standard is normal, and that's what I'm going to be showing off. So timing will begin when I enter the first level right here and start from a new save file. So that's going to be 3, 2, 1 now. So thankfully, the developers added a new patch that will allow us to skip cutscenes, and so they're very kind in that regard. But right here, we get introduced to Trifox. It's this beautiful little fox right here that we're going to be controlling throughout the whole game, in which he is on a journey to recover his stolen TV remote. And so, yeah, that's like the whole plot. And it's an important journey, a journey that I couldn't imagine anyone else going on. And so right here, right off the bat, after going through this just main movement section, we're going to be introduced to 3 different abilities: the warrior, the mage, and the architect. They each have their own base move set that we're going to be introduced to right now, specifically with the warrior. The warrior's base move set is these dashes, and so we're going to be using this move set throughout the majority of the run. However, we also have a lot of secondary and tertiary abilities that we're going to be using, and so we can mix and match throughout the game what abilities we use. And right here, we're going to be unlocking a secondary ability, which is this hammer that is specifically on the warrior spectrum of abilities. And we're going to be using the hammer to mainly open these boxes and get money. During these few first levels, you want actually a significant amount of money in order to buy abilities that are going to upgrade to later. And we're going to be going out of our way to grab these chests that the cutscene is showing us right here, in order to get a significant amount of money now, so we don't have to leave with money later. Thankfully, with the new routes that we've had in this game and the new developments, we technically don't even need to do much money routing, just a bit of going out of your way in these first few levels in order to get some money, and that in itself is pretty much enough for all the abilities that you need for the rest of the run. Okay, perfect. These last few coins, and that is the end of the introduction. We're going to go straight into the hub world now. Perfect. All right, and now we're in the hub world. Skipping this cutscene, we just need to turn everything on, and then it'll allow us to go straight into the next level. We have 785 coins, which is a really good amount, enough for this next level as well. As long as we get enough coins in this next level, we should be fine. We want around 1,250 coins in order to upgrade everything, so just anything above 500 should be perfectly fine. And so right here, we're going to go straight into 1-1, and there's actually some pretty interesting skips in 1-1, so hopefully I can get them. But first, we're going to try and get these golden coins, skipping these enemies. And right off the bat, we're going to try to have a cutscene skip and try by avoiding the trigger entirely. And unfortunately, I did not get it, but that's perfectly fine. If I just dashed a little bit more down to the right, I would have been able to get it. But that cutscene skip only saves around like 3-4 seconds, so it's not too much of a time loss. And after that door opens, we're going to be breaking these boxes in order to get these coins over here. Go out of our way to get some coins right here. And that should be most of the coinage that we get throughout this level until the very end. And thankfully, with the double jump ability as well as the base movement for the warrior, we've been allowed to do some pretty interesting movement in mid-air as well. You can just do like dash jump in order to like get some pretty significant distance and also height while you're in mid-air. We're going to be avoiding this enemy. We're going to be taking this head, as we're going to be using it later. And we're going to go over here and we're going to interact with this plank and push it onto this button. Will the plank cooperate? The plank cooperated a lot, thank goodness. And we're going to be putting this head right here so it can push down on that button while we while we get some more money and wait for this door to open. That was a really good plank head combo there. I actually don't have an official name for that section, but right here it's the final fight of 1-1. A lot of levels in this game have like final fight sequences, and this is one of them. However, thankfully in later levels we found pretty good ways to skip them, but we do need to fight these guys in this one because the end level portal will not appear until they're dead. And so we have more than enough coins, so we just need to avoid this enemy. We got introduced to two main enemies, the gunman and the boxer. The boxer does a significant amount of damage, but he's actually pretty easy to avoid if you stand close to him, because you're going to be like just out at just like not you're gonna be too close to him to be like within range of his punches. Or you can just use the dash ability to just dash your way out of the punches while still trying to like give damage with him with your hammer. And so that is Shore Islands. That is 1-1. And now we're going to go straight into 1-2. But before we do that, we're actually going to go out of our way and upgrade our abilities. We're going to be buying the base movement for the Architect, and the reason we want to do that is because there's a secondary ability called the Turrets that we're actually going to be using. Oh, I did not mean to change back to that. Okay, thank goodness. And so we're going to be using the base ability from the Warrior, the Hammer from the Warrior, and then we're going to be using the Turrets from the Architect. And the turrets are really important, especially for this next level, because and throughout the entire run, because it allows us to do a lot of out of bounds stuff, and you're going to be seeing one of those right here. So we're just going to be dashing through this first area, trying to cut corners as much as we can in order so that when we get to here, we're not stopped by these fire arrows, so we can get around them before their next cycle begins. And using this turret, we're going to be using that as a platform right here, and we're going to put a third turret as we slide down this rock, and that should be low enough to give us enough height and allow us to go immediately out of bounds in this section up here. And as soon as we get out of bounds, we want to get onto this rock, and we want to make sure that the turret is leveled at a specific angle, like that. And as soon as we want to get as much height as we can, immediately dash to the right and wait until this wall happens, and then jump and then dash all the way over here. So we've essentially skipped all of the level and go straight to the final fight. This is the final fight here. It's in 3 phases. We have to deal with some crabs in this first phase. We're going to bring some turrets close to where the crabs spawn in on each end, and then we're going to be dealing with the crabs here. And you want to make sure that you get as much money as you can from these fights, because you want to have at least 2,250 coins at the end of World 1, so that by the time you get to World 2, you can upgrade the 2 other abilities, and that will allow us to just have the rest of the abilities that we need for the rest of the run. So now it comes to phase 2, in which we have to deal with slightly bigger enemies but more swarms of crabs here. And on phase 3, we're going to be dealing with the big bad guy, Bob. Yes, that's his name. It's one of the canonical names for the enemies in this game. So we're going to be putting a turret here and putting a few turrets over here in this opening section, while we help the turrets, just defeat these enemies as quickly as possible. And so thankfully, this game also is very generous with the way it gives health. And so for the most part, you don't really have to worry about health unless it's like unless you're like really, really depleted, because usually there's like an area around you that will give you some health. And we're going to be dealing with these enemies over here. We're going to be putting down some more turrets, because these bigger enemies tend to get rid of my turrets pretty frequently. And putting some more over here while we deal with these enemies. We want to be here as close as possible to this ending, to this final arena, but when all of these enemies die. Okay, I would like, you want to be closer, like in that inside area when that ends, because that'll allow you to trigger the final boss for this area as quicker. But I didn't trust that the turrets would have killed all the enemies, and so you need to make sure you trust your turrets. And so this is the final boss. His name is Bob for 1-2, and we're going to be putting 3 turrets around him, behind him, so that he can't reach them. And while he's doing that, we're actually going to be attacking him with we're going to be attacking him with our hammer. And combine that with all of the damage that we're doing with the turrets, we are killing Bob at an exponential rate, at a really, really fast speed. And boom, he's already dead. And then we're just going to be entering the end level portal, and that is 1-2. Pretty good, a pretty good showcase of 1-2, I will say. And then we're just going to be skipping this cutscene and going straight into 1-3. The third level of every world is usually the longest, with the exception of one specific level in the later worlds that I'm going to be very excited to show you off, a new skip that we found. But here in 1-3, it's mainly combat and mainly movement. And so right here, we're probably going to have some good times for donations, but we do have some really interesting strats here in 3-3 in order to speed up a lot of the movement, mainly with turrets and how OP they can be, and also distracting enemies so you can get jobs done easier. But for now, we're just going to be throwing this head over here so we can put it onto this pedestal and open this right section. And this next section will lead us to another head. And thankfully, if we're fast enough, we can avoid these oh, would you look at that? You can avoid these darts relatively easily, with the exception of that very last one, because I got distracted by those boulders. We're going to be putting these heads in on these buttons right here. We're going to yeet this one. We didn't miss the yeet. I'm just a coward. I didn't trust myself. Okay, and we want to really make sure that this guy and all the slime and all like his little the little slime that he like reproduces stays up there, because if he falls down to like the bottom stairs, it wastes so much time, like unnecessarily. But those enemies are like slimes that like multiply, kind of like slimes in Minecraft, I will say. But this next section, we're falling down. We're down into the caves. Into the deep ruins, and we're just essentially just going to be spending the rest of this level trying to escape the ruins. And I feel like now is a good time to mention the mana mechanic. As you can see on the left hand side, there's two bars. The right bar is the red bar is my health, and the left bar is my mana. Every time they use an ability such as dashing or turrets or any other ability in this game, it uses a specific amount of mana. There are certain exceptions to that. Certain abilities don't use mana at all, but for the most part, as you can see, every time that I dash, I'm using a little bit of mana. It uses a small amount, which is the reason that it allows us to like use so much mana with dashing. And it refills relatively quickly, so long as you're not spamming certain attacks. And so you want to be very careful of the way you manage mana in this game, and so that you don't run out of it, and you don't have the ability to dash or use other abilities that will otherwise serve you great help. So we're going to be putting two turrets here to distract these enemies while we push down on that button. That will open one side of the door. And that is the entire right side done. In that beginning section, you saw that I could choose between going to the right or left. It does not matter which one you choose first, but the majority of us just choose right because that's the way that we've created this route. And we're going to be using these turrets right here to actually climb up instead of using the patterns, because when you put them on the wall, they have a little animation of like getting placed down, and then the cogs like on each side of the turrets rotate. During that animation, there's actually no collision on these guys, and so you can just jump through them. Unfortunately, I did not get the fast cycle for that because that platform was like really finicky, and will a lot of times push you down. And so we're going to be putting two turrets right here. As you can see, I'm jumping straight through them. There's no collision on them at all. No fast cycle, but even then, the second cycle doesn't really doesn't really lose too much time. It loses only like a few seconds, and in the game as large as this, a few seconds is definitely recoverable later in the run. And each time you go past each time you like come back to this main section and go into a new area, there's gonna be more and more enemies spawning in, but you do not have to like kill any of them. Like, it does not matter if you deal with these enemies at all. And so we're just gonna be switching sides here for each of the heads on these pedestals, and we're going to be going straight into the left side. So the left side is a relatively easy, it's a lot easier than like say trying to get back with the fast cycles of those platforms on the right side. But there are specific strats we do here for safety and specific strats we do here for speed. And so we're just going to be putting two turrets here to distract these enemies so that we can go onto this button. And as soon as this button, as soon as the entire ring has been filled, we're just going to immediately dash in before the fade out. Just get a little bit of extra time saved. And then open up the right side and pretty much do the exact same thing, except this time we're not going to put down turrets, because as long as you're fast enough, the enemy should not be able to reach you. Like this. So as soon as that goes down, just dash, and then during this cutscene, the enemies should actually go away from you, surprisingly. So they're not really much of a threat. But as we push this final button down, we're going to be putting down 2 turrets in order to have a little bit more safety and make sure that no enemies distract us. And now we've unlocked both sides, unlocking both sides of this door, and we can just go straight through the final pipe. But we have to go through a specific section first. We're going to grab all these coins in order to make sure that we have enough coinage for the abilities we need to upgrade to later. And we're going to go back here, and it's going to show us a cutscene which we need to, like, where it's going to be like, oh, there's more enemies, but we don't need to, like, bother with any of them. We really don't. These guys are going to fall down and try to distract us, but we don't need to worry about any of them. Because as soon as we go through this door, the enemies respawn, and the door closes. Go onto that button, and now we're going to try and climb this tower as the tower is flooding. The water levels are going to keep rising, and as long as you just keep moving, it will be literally no threat to you whatsoever. The biggest threat are probably these fire arrows right here. As you can see, that is the biggest threat here. A little embarrassing, but it's fine. It doesn't lose that much time. And we're just going to be going straight through here, and we're going to have a little skip here. Instead of breaking this wall, we're just going to be going around it. And being careful with these logs that drop through. So that is it. Aside from that one hiccup with the fire arrows, that was pretty clean. And so now we're going to be going into the final fight, and it will really show the intense usage of turrets in this final fight. We're going to have better abilities later that will allow us to go through fights a lot faster. But right now, turrets are your best friend. Generally, turrets are always going to be your best friend. But especially in these earlier levels where you don't really have a lot of upgraded abilities, turrets are definitely your best friend. These smaller enemies are probably the things you want to get out of the way first, only because they're more annoying. And then the bigger enemies obviously do more damage, but they tend to attack less frequently. And so right here, as these enemies are getting distracted by the turrets, I'm going to go out of my way to get more health. Thankfully, the game, again, as I said earlier, is very generous with the way it disperses health. And so, generally speaking, you don't have to worry too much about them as long as you have some kind of health around you. And in the more recent update, the game developers have decreased the damage that bullets do, and like any gunman does. And so, thankfully, that we don't have to worry about the amount of damage that they do so far as much in this new patch, which was a thing that I kind of complained about when I first played this game, just how much damage they do. But thankfully, it's not really much of a problem. And so that's all things considered. We lost around 30 seconds, but that's not really too much time loss for a category this long. And so it's nothing that we can't recover later, especially with how much time, say, we may have in later levels due to the great skips. And now we're going to go straight to Volatile Shipment, which is the final level of World 1. Each of the final levels of this each world is going to be essentially just a boss. And here we're going to be fighting this pirate. He's called a warrior, but it's a pirate. And so we're going to be fighting this guy. He has 3 phases. The first 2 phases are relatively easy, and the third phase actually has a fast cycle that we can do. And so right here we're going to be putting a turret down to kill this minion, and then we're going to be using our hammer to kill this next guy, these samurai minion. And we actually want to fight these guys because these guys have bombs on their back, and for each bomb, it'll knock down this tower. What are you doing? Okay, I've never had that happen before where like it just didn't explode. Usually it explodes. Okay, as soon as we knock down those towers, we're going to be using turrets in order to kill this, in order to bring damage to this enemy, or to the boss. And on the other side, we want more enemies to spawn with bombs. Unfortunately, we just have to wait a little bit for them to come out of their shell at the bottom corner here. We're putting a turret here so that the enemies get distracted, and we're gonna be using this guy's bombs because he's closer to the boss here. And usually these bombs kind of like to home onto the... Why? Okay, I guess they don't explode unless they hit the ground, and usually they would hit the ground, but I guess today they didn't really feel like it. And so, combined with one turret, we have a substantial amount of damage done to this boss right here. And now we're going to go straight into phase 3. Phase 3 is a very interesting phase because he gets like powered up, he gets a lot more ability, and we're able to go straight into a fast cycle here. So hopefully we can get the fast cycle depending on how much damage you can deal. And so we're going to be going up here and manipulating him, because as each time that you're like close to him up there, he'll do this specific attack. And then the second time he goes to the left, you want to start putting down turrets, like one right here, and one right here. And you want to make sure that the boss does not take damage on these turrets, and does not destroy your turrets, because turrets will do a significant amount of damage to the boss. And unfortunately, we did not get the one cycle because he wasn't close enough to the turrets in order for him to do a significant amount of damage. But that doesn't lose too much time, because it's still pretty much showcased like the large amount of damage that the turrets do. And thankfully this turret still is left standing, which means that the turret will or not. I was hoping that the turret would do more damage to these chests while the cutscene was happening, so that I could just immediately collect them and move on. But that unfortunately did not happen. But that's perfectly fine. And as soon as this cutscene is over, we're just going to be straight to the shop, and we're actually going to be buying more abilities. We're going to be buying the spear, the mage the mage base, and we're going to be buying the mage bomb and equipping that, and we're going to be buying the Gatling gun. We're going to be equipping that, and then we're going to go straight into World 2. We want the mage armor or the mage bomb because it does a lot amount of damage. And we want the Gatling gun, or to have continuous amounts of damage while combat is happening. So both of these are mainly for combat, and just dealing large amount of damage towards enemies to make combat faster. And so we're going to see us going through combat at a pretty high speed in this next section. And so 2-1, this first level is called Off the Rails, which is ironic because the majority of the time you're on the rails. We're going to be using the turrets here and using the fact that they have no collision during the animation in order to climb up. And as you can see, I'm running out of mana, so like the screen is getting blue on the corners. But thankfully during this cutscene, the mana replenishes. And so we can just immediately put like 2 turrets here, and then we're gonna have the mage bomb that does a lot of damage onto this boss right here. And please, okay, thank you. The mage bomb, as you can see, does a lot of damage. We're gonna put 1 turret here to distract the other enemies, and then we're going to be going straight through as soon as the main enemy that we killed blasts through that door. And then we're gonna be taking this battery, and we're gonna be putting it over here to this door that will activate the gun chair that we're gonna be in. Perfect. So activate that, and that's the main vehicle that we're gonna be in for a large amount of this level. And so we're going to be grabbing this battery and tossing it because you'll need it anymore. We're going to go into this vehicle and immediately reset checkpoints so that all the enemies that we were in that previous area do not follow us, and we don't have to deal with them unnecessarily. And so right here, I'm going to activate these 2 green triangles on each end, and oh dear, oh my god. Okay, I don't really like it when you get cornered like that, but you have to deal with what you have to deal with. Right here, I'm actually switching to mouse, so that it makes this aiming easier. You want to kind of deal with any enemy that has bullets first. There's these rocket guys, we can shoot the rockets out of the air, and so they're not really much of a threat. But these guys, the gunmen or any machine guns are the biggest threats, primarily due to just how much damage they can do in one instance. But we just have to wait until the timer runs out so that we can immediately go into this next section. Now, for the most part, aside from this first split in the road, it does not matter which side you go on to these rails. However, going down this first split in the road and not changing tracks will save 5 seconds. But aside from that, the rest of the track changes do not matter. You can go in any direction. And since it's kind of an auto scroller, I would also argue that this is a really good time for donations. And for the most part, It's actually really fun. I enjoy using mouse because the majority of the speedruns that I have are with mouse, and so it's kind of like a more comfort zone thing for me. And so any excuse to use mouse and have it actually be good like controls in this game, I'll use it. But of course, for the rest of the game, mouse doesn't really work. I quickly changed tracks here just for fun, because like I said, the rest of the level, each track does not have a difference in time, and so you can just choose any track you want. I will stick to the left over here and not change tracks because there's less enemies on this side, and so you just have to do it less. And so now we can just immediately head to the end of the level, and the cutscene starts here where you still have control over the gun, but you will always be forced to the right side, and that'll be pretty much the end of 2-1 off the rails. A really good 2-1 if I do say so myself. And as long as you're on guard and you don't let just enemies like shoot you repeatedly, it should be perfectly fine. So that's off the rails. And now we're going to go into 2-2 Steam Affairs. We're going to have another really cool out of bounds section. And right here, we're going to be going straight into 2-2 and skipping the majority of the fight, skipping the majority of the level. With the turret is our best friend in this game. It allows us to do fast combat. It allows us to go out of bounds. It allows us to do a lot of different things. And it's probably the most useful thing in the speedrun. Even more useful than like the dashes and stuff, I'd argue. And so right here, we're going to be going out of our way to go into the secret area where there's chest. We're going to be using this chest in order to grab a bit more distance right here. I messed up right here, but you want to make sure that you just die and not reset checkpoint, because resetting checkpoint will put you farther back. So right here, we're going to be climbing up these turrets. And as soon as we just put 2 down, we want to go over here and go around this wall, climbing up to this section, to the closest section, which you can like just solidly stand. And then this is a very finicky section because as I said before, when you're out of bounds, these turrets are very slippery. Okay, there we go. And we managed to almost get on top of it. Come on. So close. There we go, perfect. And now that we're on top, we can just go out of bounds above the collision plane of this area. And if we drop down here, it's fine. We can use another turret to climb up. And you want to stick to the left here so you don't fall down. And because there's no death plane underneath this level, and so you can just infinitely fall down. You're going to be forced to reset checkpoint. And so right here, we're just going to fall into the final fight. There's 2 phases. You want to fight the gunmen right here. They are like the 2 biggest. You only need to bother with the gunman because the gunman has a bomb in his battery in his hand, and then the battery is like the only thing that we care about, because we need to insert the battery into this generator, which will open this door right here for us. Perfect. And now during the second phase, again, we only want to fight the shield guy. He is the only thing that we care about, because in fighting him, it will end the fight. In killing him, it will end the fight. And thankfully, the turrets will usually distract him, and so you can just go on the other side of him and use your Gatling gun on him to have more continuous damage. As you can see, each bullet does 4 damage for the Gatling gun, and the turrets do 1, even if there's a shield in front of him. But usually the turrets will distract him. So another really good use for turrets right here. And so now we're just going to be putting these rocks onto these vents, and that'll be the end of 2-2. Because the end portal will just go right here, and then we're going to go straight into 2-3 Steamy Affair, which is a very interesting level in terms of combat. There's actually specific skips in 2-3 as well, but for the most part, we can just relax at the first 2 minutes of 2-3, and there's a specific reason for that I'll get into. Skip this cutscene, and then go straight into 2-3. All right, so I think that 2-3 is a good time for donations, specifically the first 2 minutes. And you're going to be dropped into this introduction area of the factory. And as soon as you're dropped in here, you want to place a lot of turrets, because there's small enemies like this guy in this level. But you don't really, as long as you put turrets down, they're not really like much of a threat. Like they'll die pretty fast and pretty easily. And as soon as the screen starts shaking like that, you want to put 2 turrets right here, and then you can just dash up here, and you see all that stuff that's happening down there. We don't need to bother with any of them. We don't even need coins anymore, but I just feel like grabbing those chests. But like, we can just not have to worry about it. Just like, there's a lot of stuff down there, but like, why would you care? You can just come up here, and this is a good time for donations, because like, it doesn't save time, but you know, it's safe, and you shouldn't not do it. So right now it's just a really good time for donations. Like, look at all that. Look at all that stuff down there. We don't need to bother with any of it. And so that's pretty good. We can just chill. It's a coffee break. Go to the bathroom. Get some water. Hydration. Make sure your hydration's good. So yeah, this is like a full 2 minutes of just time that we can have open for donations or anything that the host wants to say. A really, really good time. And we want to wait for the doors over here to turn yellow, and that's how we know that our ride is here. Get some mana just for the road, and now we can actually get into the rest of the factory. And you want to make sure that you're careful with your movement there, because if you fall down, you have to restart. But that's perfectly fine. And you just avoid these sections and come over here, flip this switch so that the door opens. You can get to the rest of the level. And we're going to go straight into a combat sequence right here. And you want to really remember that you have the Mage Bomb now. The Mage Bomb does a significant amount of damage. Unfortunately, it will also do a significant amount of damage to you and to your turrets. That is the only like caveat of the Mage Bomb here. And so you want to make sure that you're using it proficiently. And as soon as all the enemies are done, we can now head down to the end of this level. Or not to the end of this level, to the end of this section. I wish it was the end of this level. That would have been so fast. But we're just going to go straight down here. And as you can see, there are these the twin engineers that we're going to be fighting later in this world. As soon as we go down here, we're going to be putting down 3 turrets, because there's going to be enemies coming out through that left door, and we're going to be dealing with enemies coming out through the top door while the turrets deal with those other enemies. Use your Mage Bomb to shoot and kill these enemies pretty much instantaneously. The closer they are to the Mage Bomb, of course, the more damage they'll have. And we're going to be using Mage Bomb again with these enemies right here for a significant amount of damage, especially to this rocket guy, or to the rocket launcher. The rocket launcher is probably one of the bigger threats here. And so as soon as we kill these enemies, we're going to be putting a turret right here, and just going ahead and deal with this boxer. There we go. And as soon as we kill the boxer, that mech is going to come out. But since we put the turret there, it blocks him from actually entering the arena, and the door closes and kills him. And so we can just immediately skip using him. That is a really interesting skip that we're going to be doing twice, actually. As soon as we finish each side of this, of the factory. And so we're going to go to this right side first, in which there's a specific strat that's actually really interesting here, but I don't know if I'll be able to get it or if I have enough health to do it, because you need health. It requires you damaging yourself and falling off. So we're just going to be dealing with this enemy and using the turrets in order to deal with these enemies on this side. And, oh, okay, these enemies kill themselves on the left side. I didn't even realize that. Unfortunately, that didn't give me a chance to react and do the skip I want to do. If you die during that cutscene, or if you, fall down during that cutscene, it'll respawn you, right next to the door that opens. And so, if you're good enough with that, you can save some small seconds there. And I reset checkpoint here just so I can have more health, and I don't have to deal with these enemies behind me as much. And as soon as you pull those 3 levers, I'm going to put 2 turrets here for safety while these enemies come over here and try to kill me. But there's a cutscene that starts here, which shows the rest of the level is that this elevator is ready to proceed. And so that'll allow you to go to the rest of the level. We're going to enter this portal that'll lead us back to the beginning of this section, just so we don't have to walk all the way back. And we can just immediately pull this lever and ride this elevator back down. And then we're going to do the exact same thing that we did with the first elevator ride, in which we're going to put turrets on the right side instead of the left. And we're going to be dealing with the enemies up top using Mage Bomb and the Gatling gun that we got. And we're gonna be actually we're gonna have an opportunity to see the mech skip again. But right here, put 3 turrets, and go over here to deal with the mage bomb. There we go, perfect. That killed that enemy. If I had aimed it a bit more to the center, I would have killed this enemy too, but it doesn't really lose time as long as you kill this enemy pretty quickly. Mage bomb again to kill these smaller guys and this big guy as well. Thankfully, they're not too much of a threat. And as soon as we see that, just put this turret right here. And we're going to get some health here just for safety purposes. And deal with this guy. And the only difference here is that we're going to see these two boxers here, unfortunately. But they're nothing that we can't handle. We did manage to do the skip for the mech, and so that was the important thing, that we got to see that skip again. And so that's probably the biggest time saver, just so you know to deal with that really annoying enemy. These guys are almost done here. That guy is, and so is that. Perfect. And now we can just go straight into the left side. And we're gonna get some health here just for safety purposes. And now this left side, you want to be very careful because there's lots of moments in which you can fall off the map. But generally speaking, if you have the movement down, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. I'm gonna pull this lever and head straight back and essentially do the exact same thing we did on the right side, but on the left side. We're gonna be entering another area in which we can shut off the generator and fight some more enemies on each side, in which we like pull the levers and stuff. We managed to get past here before the door closes. Now we just want to manage these cycles and make sure to not get hit because we have some really low health. As soon as we get here, we can just reset checkpoint because I want to get more health. Oh dear, oh my god, what am I doing with the dashes? Oh my god, I've never like really had that much trouble with dashes before. Pull these levers down and boom, and just put turrets here for safety and wait for the generator to shut down. And so as soon as that ends, the boxer gets out of our way, and so we can just go immediately into this next section, in which you ride the elevator down. We're going to go into the final fight. It's a pretty long level. It's a pretty lengthy level, all things considered. But my best is not 329.06. My splits are kind of messed up, in case you haven't noticed throughout the majority of this run. You know, that's neither here nor there. All right. Oh wait, I forgot the split. That's why. And so we're gonna be dealing with this mech. As soon as we deal with this mech, we're going to, as soon as we deal with enemies here, we're gonna have 2 more enemies spawn into the area, 2 more harder enemies. And so all things considered, they shouldn't be too much of a threat because they tend to be distracted by turrets, and we have lots of those. As long as you don't die here, it should be fine. Get some health here. And perfect. I'm scared. Alright, as soon as we kill that guy, we're gonna have some more health spawn on 3 sides of this map. And these enemies really like turrets. They get distracted by turrets, like I mentioned before. So use that to your advantage and damage them while they're distracted by the turrets. Usually I like to go around them and use Mage Bomb, but we don't even have enough mana for Mage Bomb right now. Mage Bomb uses like probably the most mana out of any ability in this game. Use that to distract them. Oh my goodness. Please. Okay, that guy's dead. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And now this next guy should be dead because he's distracted by the turrets and immediately go into the end of the level. So we're actually going to skip and then also skip as well, because that's just generally not how I want to set up my splits. And now we're going to go into the World 2 boss, which is Double Trouble. We're going to fight the Twin Architects. So the twin architects have some really good strats and specific ways to make each of the cycles easier. As long as you know where all of the enemies are going to be spawned in, and as you're really good at dashing and spamming the Y button, you'll be pretty good. So we're going to be putting these turrets on each side of this mech, and we're going to get behind it because it tends to go away from any direction that you're like facing it, and so we want to push it into the mech, or into the turrets, I should say. And now we're going to be dashing, and we want to just pull this this lever right here, and we're going to put 3 turrets down, one here, because as soon as the next phase starts, you're going to put down more mechs right in the center, and we're going to be using the Mage Bomb in order to kill this guy really fast, and putting down some more turrets. Putting down some more turrets here, and using Mage Bomb again, if the game will allow us. Come on. Come on. Come on. There you go. Push them into the turrets. That's what I want to see. Grab some more mana just for safety, even though it's refilling during this cutscene. And you really want to be spamming Y during this cutscene, because as soon as this cutscene ends, there's going to be walls popping up, and that will block you from like entering the area. But if you dash really quickly, you are able to essentially just get past it, and put 3 turrets around here to kill this guy, and use your Gatling gun to give more damage. Same wash, rinse, repeat kind of thing. Perfect. And now we're going to do the same thing with these last 3 guys. We have more turrets because, you know, 3 turrets for the, or 3 mechs for the 3rd phase. And I'm going to see if I can use Mage Bomb on this last guy with the turrets in order to do like significant amount of damage to him. There we go. That was a lot quicker than the first 2. Perfect. So that's the end of that phase. Okay, thank goodness. Okay, I thought for a second that there was like a mech that I didn't kill, but it's perfectly fine. And now we're going to go straight into the next section, in which we're going to be spamming Y in order to get above the walls before they cover us and prevent us from getting through. And that is the end of the Twin Engineers. That's the end of the World 2 fight, and now we're at the end of World 2. We're just going to go straight into the portal, and that is the end. All right, perfect. So we're going to go straight into World 3 next, but before we do that, we're going to actually change out one small thing, which is the base movement. We're going to be switching to the Mage movement right here instead of the dashes. And there's a specific reason for that, because there's a specific skip that we have in 3.1, which is the next level that we're going to be going to, that is only possible with this moveset. But now we're going to go into a minor deviation, in which this these next few levels are probably like the hardest worlds. As long as you get to 3.3, you should be pretty good, because we recently found a skip in 3.3 that allows us to essentially skip all of the hard parts of it. But you still have to go through 3.1 and 3.2, which you have some pretty difficult fighting sequences. But one thing that we can do with the Mage dashes, right, is like that. Mage teleporters go larger distances with our dashes, and we're actually going to be doing a specific skip right here. Okay, unfortunately, we activated the cutscene, but you actually try to want to go around it, actually, but that's kind of a good thing for me, because I was tired of, like, trying to avoid going around, or trying to avoid activating the trigger, because I want to get on top of this turret, and... Okay, it might not even have mattered in the first place. We're going to wait for this turret to go away, and then immediately go out of bounds again. Oh, come on. Get on top of the turret, please. There we go. And now we're going to be using the Mage dash in order to get up there, because the Mage dash allows us to have significant more height. And then the Mage dash itself, we're going to be using throughout this next section. We're going to be using our shadow as like a visual cue to be crawling around this out of bounds section. Perfect. Oh, okay. You want to make sure you don't reset checkpoint, but rather just get There you go. You want to just fall down, because that will allow you to just respawn right back up there, and so you don't have to reset checkpoint and redo it all over again. And now we're just gonna be falling down into this next section and get into the final area. All right, this is the fight of 3-3 or 3-1, I should say. And so we're gonna be putting turrets here, because turrets are once again our best friend, and especially with these samurai guys, they tend to take a lot of damage from turrets. And so we're gonna be taking some more health here and trying to avoid enemies with bullets, because they tend to do a ridiculous amount of damage. But thankfully, the recent patch kind of mediated that. Okay, come on. There we go. And now there should be some more boxer guys around here that we need to deal with as well. Where are y'all? No, for real. Like, where are y'all? Where are the bigger enemies here? Do I need to, like, kill these tower guys? Where are y'all not? Where are y'all not coming from? There you go. I don't know why it took you so long to come out of your shell, but here you are. Killing this guy should start the next phase. I'm going to get some more health here. And there you go. I want to kill this guy too. There you go. Starting the next phase, which is just dropping a bunch of bombs on me. And so as this next phase is coming to a halt, or coming to a start, I'm going to be knocking down these guys during this cutscene, because I am going to be required to kill them in order to move on from this level. And during that section, we should have more enemies spawn in, including these rocket guys that are relative threats. But as long as you have turrets and the Mage bomb, which does significant amounts of damage to them, it should be perfectly fine. And you can also use the rockets against them and shoot them into other enemies as well. They have friendly fire, thankfully. And all right, that should be done with that guy. I'm going to get this health just for good measure and drop some more turrets here. Perfect. And now we should be able to kill this last enemy, and then we can start phase 3, in which you have to deal with the big boys. The big boys are these guys with shields. There we go. Okay, this guy, you really don't want to die in this section, because you otherwise will have to start the whole fight all over. So I'm going to go down here and get this health, and hopefully, if I'm good, we should not need to use any more health for the rest of the level. I'm just going to kill this guy and make sure that the turrets are distracting them, so that we can just kill them like that immediately. Perfect. And let this guy come over here, because we want to be on this right side as soon as this section ends. Come on, get distracted by this turret, please. Thank you. Okay, perfect. Okay, come on. Get this health for good measure. Thank goodness that smaller enemy dropped some health. And there we go. We killed the big boy, and now we can just immediately exit to 3-2. That is the end of 3-1. Perfect. Great. So this is like the this is the end of 3-1. That seems wrong. Why am I a minute and a half behind? That seems wrong. We're gonna go into a cold climb. What am I comparing against? We're gonna compare against average. That's strange. That seems wrong. I should not be like that much behind, because I didn't really do all that much different. Actually, we're gonna go to hub, because I forgot that we need to change out of the Mage ability. We need to go straight into we need to go back into like the dash ability that we had with the warrior. There we go. And change back to that. Perfect. And now we can just stick with that for the rest of the game. We have what we need for the rest of the game. We just need to change to the Mage ability for that specific level. All right. So now we're gonna go straight into 3-2. And 3-2 is a very interesting level, and it's a very harsh level, because you really don't want to like die or reset checkpoint, because unfortunately we're gonna be doing a lot of out of bounds movement, but due to that, unfortunately, you don't want to like reset checkpoint, because you don't grab any checkpoints on your way to the end of the level, and that's pretty much true until you get to the second half of the boss for 3-2. We're going to be using these turrets to climb up this side of the mountain, or this side of the hill, and then we're going to use this final turret up here to grab some height, and then go out of bounds here. And this out of bounds is actually really interesting because we're going to be doing a lot of blind movement here, because the camera won't pan forward until we're like already at a specific point. And you're going to see what I mean in this next section. We're going to be jumping up here and then just riding across the edge of this invisible wall. And as soon as we get to the corner, we're going to jump, and then dash to the right. And you want to like gently move right and to the left like that. That was probably one of the faster ways we can do it, but unfortunately we fell down, and so we're gonna have to do it once more. So just climb up this section, and oh wait, that was way too close. Unfortunately it was in the invisible wall, and so we want to get on top of the invisible wall like so. Perfect. So we're going to be doing some more out of bounds movement here, and it's mainly blind, and so I want to just go across. And as soon as you get to this edge of the invisible wall, jump, and then dash. And as soon as we get onto this corner, we're going to jump, dash. And this is when the blind movement begins. And we're going to be a bit more gentle than we were last time by actively moving to the right and maybe a bit down. There we go. As soon as the camera pans over, that's how you know you did it. And we're going to be climbing up these turrets and dashing over here to the right side. And putting our turret down right here, and then jumping up, and then you want to do dash jump in order to get enough height and ensure that you're over here. And as soon as you get to this dash session, you want to fall down and activate the cutscene trigger that'll land you inside of the this boss fight. And this is the first phase of the boss. You want to just damage the crystal as much as you can. And now they have protectors. The protector crystals are pretty easy to deal with. You just put turrets. You can also just kill them yourselves, but we're gonna put turrets so we can deal with some other ones while the turrets are dealing with those. And now we're going to have a turret deal with that, so we can be at the very center as soon as the turret is done with that crystal, and we can immediately deal damage to the boss here. And now we're at phase 2. If we die here or reset checkpoint, it won't matter because now the game has given us a checkpoint here. Now we're at phase 2 of the boss. And the phase 2 is probably the more difficult section of this boss, but for the most part, it should be just the same thing as the first half, in which in this first phase, you want to deal with, put turrets down in order to kill these crystals, in order to destroy these crystals. And as soon as the crystals are destroyed, the crystal in the center will be open. And you want to deal with enough damage. We actually also have a healer, unfortunately. So generally speaking, it will be very difficult to consistently do damage to him and do it quickly unless you have the dealer out. And so during the end of that phase, the mage boss will go away, and we're not going to see him until like the end of this world. And as we can see, we've killed the healer, and we're going to be dashing here and putting down turrets to distract these enemies. And as soon as these enemies are done, we're going to be able to just finish the level and go straight into 3-3. And it's going to be my favorite part because we found a skip that skips the majority of the hard parts of 3-3 and the majority of where I've lost time, which is like during the combat sections. And so just going to be putting down these turrets, killing this enemy. Thankfully, the saw ended up killing that enemy as well. And so as soon as that enemy is dead, we can just go straight into the center, and that is the end of 3-3. So that's a cold climb. Perfect. A gold too, a really nice one. How does that compare to PB? Oh, I didn't have a split for that. Okay, that's fine. It's whatever. So now we're gonna go straight into Summit Trials, in which we should have a good amount of time saved here. And now 3-3, it used to be like one of the harder levels, and there's still really hard strats in this level, and really good out of balance movement and strats we're going to be incorporating here. So we're going to be putting all of these heads into their pedestals and on all that jazz to go into the main section of 3-3. Tossing this head over here and grabbing this head up here. Perfect. Putting this guy in, and then putting this guy in. Come on. There we go. Perfect. And thankfully, these enemies will not deal damage during the cutscene. It'd be pretty annoying if they did. Fall down. And we're going to be, instead of falling down like the game wants us to underneath this cage, we're going to be using turrets to climb up. And we're going to be dashing, trying to avoid a specific icicle in the air. Unfortunately, we didn't get the checkpoint right here. We didn't really get enough height. We're going to try that again, but thankfully, if you just reset checkpoint before the cutscene begins, you can just try it again as much as you please. There we go. Perfect. Now we have it. And this next section is one of the harder jumps of the run, so hopefully we can get it maybe first or second try. We're going to be climbing up this left wall with these turrets up here, and they tend to be exceptionally slippery, like so. But thankfully, we recovered it pretty well, and I'm glad we did because that doesn't always happen. We're going to be putting a turret right here, and we want to dash, jump, boom, right here. Okay, that was like a lot harder than it looks, I promise. So we're just going to be dashing through here, and we want to end up at the, and that activates one crystal in the center of the room, in which will unlock a specific door. We want to reset checkpoint, and then we're going to wait for that door to open. And now we're going to go up this left pillar. I'm going to be putting two turrets right here that we're going to be climbing up. And then we're going to be going to this front side, or this back side, I should say, and putting down two more turrets, and then immediately dash, boom. Okay, well, unfortunately, we did not get enough height there. We're going to try it one more time. Thankfully, you don't really lose that much time if you have to, like, redo it again. And let's try that once more. Oh, come on. Okay, we're just going to retry because that tends to be a bit quicker than trying to, like, you know, then, like, salvage it. Okay, why are we not getting enough height? That's really strange. I usually get enough height here. We're going to be jumping up here onto this right side. Come on. Come on. Okay. I'm having more trouble with this than I usually do, which is strange. I got this like first try in practice, but then again, everything goes perfect in practice. And now we're going to be just... There we go. That's exactly what we want to do. We want to get enough height in order to jump up into this next section. And we are going to be jumping up here. And instead of doing the entire level, we're actually going to be putting a turret through this wall that will do damage to that crystal. And we'll activate this section. This section right here, and as soon as that light pops up, I'll put two turrets right here in order to activate, in order to kill those two crystals. And we want to push ourselves against this wall, and two cutscenes will kind of like activate at the same time. And during this specific cutscene, we can like dash towards the wall, and you want to keep dashing upwards in order to prevent the golems from spawning in. And as soon as this as soon as you're up here, you want to put a turret against the wall, put another turret against the wall, preferably facing towards you like this. Put another turret against the wall. This part's gonna be blind, and then you're gonna put another turret up here to get some final height. And as soon as you do that, boom, you can just skip the level and get into this end section. And that, my friends, is 12 minutes of time save according to average. And like, look at that. How does it compare to PB? I didn't have a split for that, but it's frankly fine. I didn't have a time split for that. That's a significant portion of time save purely from what we have found today, and I could probably save more time with the unfortunate trouble that I had with going to the left side. And now we have two more boss fights. We have Unstable Grounds, and then we have the final boss. Unstable Grounds, we have to fight the Mage boss, and the Mage boss itself has really interesting strats in order to like have faster cycles, and in order to like essentially not have to wait for what the game wants you to do. The first thing we're going to do, this first phase, is incredibly easy. Putting down a turret here to shoot that crystal. We shoot this crystal with our Gatling gun. And as soon as the crystals fall down, we're going to be shooting this mage with our Gatling gun. And that is the end of phase 1. Now we're going to go straight into phase 2, which is also a pretty simple phase. We're going to be climbing up this column with our turrets. Wait for the turret to replenish so we can put another one up there. and then we're going to be coming up here and shooting this turret. Perfect. And we're just going to wait for this column to come back down in order to shoot this this crystal right here. Putting a turret there for some safety is also pretty important as well, so just the crystals don't come down and hit you. And now we're at phase 3, which is the hardest phase, but hopefully, hopefully it won't go too bad. We're going to purposefully die there, fall off the edge, in order to put the turret onto this wall and get some more, in order to damage this crystal. Okay, and then dash up here as soon as the crystal shoots us back down. And now we're going to put a crystal right here, put a turret right here to deal with that crystal, and put a turret right here to deal with this crystal. And hopefully we can get the finicky jump with this next crystal. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. Unfortunately, I did not get it today, and we did die, which means we have to unfortunately do that part again. But we are going to be just doing the same thing that we did before, and finishing phase 3 off in style. And this time we're going to be a lot more careful with our health here, so we're going to take damage while we shoot these crystals. And now, even if we don't get the cycle, even if we don't get the fast strat, we should be able to have a pretty clean recovery from it, because the recovery will allow us to just do exactly the same thing that we did on the right side, but on the left side, in order to get this one. Okay, yeah. So we can just do the exact same thing that we did before, in which we, come on, game. I don't really like this. Come on. Where we just put this turret right here and climb up. No, unfortunate, but it's perfectly fine. We can just try again. And that's the only like bad thing about like dying, and to start the whole phase all over again. I'm just gonna restart there because the game was being pretty slippery. And so come on, game, please. And now we're just gonna be coming down here and doing the exact same thing again. I guess if I mess up in certain cases like this, it'd be a nice time for donations. I usually don't have a lot of trouble with this section. You want to make sure that you stay up there, even if the game pushes you off, because otherwise you won't be able to get the fast traps to these next few turrets, using the turrets for these next few crystals. And now put that there, put this guy right here, and will we get the fast trap this time? If not, that is perfectly fine, because we have enough health. Okay, that's yeah, we have enough health to deal with this next section, and like that. Oh, there we go. Thankfully we recovered that pretty well. Sometimes the game doesn't like it when we try to recover that pretty well, but now we're up here and we can shoot that crystal down and shoot this guy and finish off with phase 3. That is the end of phase 3, and that is the end of this boss. As you can see, we're losing a bit of time to gold, but generally speaking, I do also have trouble with this boss, and so with a bit more practice, we should be able to maybe lower the estimate even down further after that section. So we should have a sub 110, because this next section should not take too terribly long. All right, we're going to skip this cutscene. Now we're going to go straight into the final boss. Perfect. Wait, I'm at the wrong section. I entered the wrong world. Foolish of me. Time lost for forgetting the route. Okay, this is the final boss, and now we're going to go straight into showdown. Pretty significant time saves on PB right here. 6 minutes ahead. Could have been even more ahead had the Mage boss not been too terribly bad. But you know what? I guess that's more representative of what could happen in like a marathon setting. And so I'm going to reset checkpoint here only because there's way too many enemies that I want to deal with right now. I'm going to put in a turret right here, and I'm going to wait for this enemy. I'm going to have this enemy distracted by turrets while I kill it. Okay, that's the ideal way that you want that to go around. And they're going to put this battery into the pack, and now we have hamster ball. We have a hamster ball. And now this hamster ball is like an amazing time. this hamster ball is one of the funnest things about this section, because the enemies just don't deal damage to you. You can just run over them and you can collect a lot of money, but this is the end of the game, so why would you need money anymore? And so that is the final boss. We just need to get to him, and he's through this hamster ball. And there's a lot of bombs here that'll like make you jump involuntarily, so you can use that to your advantage in certain cases. But you want to kind of just memorize the path that you need to take here and ensure that you're not getting slowed down by anything unnecessarily. And so obviously we have a set predetermined path. Generally speaking, there's multiple paths you can take, but we have determined a fastest route. Unlike, you know, the railroad level, in which it really didn't matter what path you took, but there is a fastest set route for this particular final section. And now we're just going to be going through hamster ball and going to be zooming through this left section here. And generally speaking, you also still want to be careful, especially during this next section where there's platforming, because you can still like die. You can still like go down these pits and die, and that'll reset you a little bit back, which is not like too harsh of a time loss, but it's still a time loss nonetheless. And so right here, we're going to just come up straight and going through here. 10:05. If everything goes right, it should be sub 10, which in a no reset run is pretty decent. And now jumping up through here and going straight ahead, and this is the final section of the hamster ball area, because we're going to go straight into the first phase of the final boss right here. And as you can see, he's gonna shake our hamster ball and go straight down. And the first phase of the boss actually has a manipulation that we're gonna do. And so we can, if you immediately die, he's gonna go into a very specific attack, which is putting all of his elbows down. And we want to, and that's good for us because we want to like attack these elbows as much as we can. You want to make sure that you're holding down, like, because if your stick is in like a neutral position, for some reason your gun will not like target anything that it shoots. But if your stick is slightly not neutral, it'll walk forward and like target the elbow. And so we're going to use that 4 times, and boom, that's the end of phase 1. And now we're going to go straight into phase 2. I'll probably reset checkpoint during phase 2, only because we're significantly like out of health, and I want to start phase 2 with full health. But this is the final showdown. This is it. Hopefully this final section will not give us too much trouble, but I've been very proficient in it recently, so it should be fine. And so gonna put down some turrets in this section to distract the enemy in the middle, and while that's happening, as these lasers are going around, we're actually going to try and shoot them, so that by the time they exit through here, one of them is like fully down, like so. Perfect. The Gatling gun is like your best friend here, and so are the turrets, and we'll distract all the other enemies. As you can see, the turrets are very multifaceted. We're going to be using them in a lot of different ways, and progressively taking more damage onto these lasers right here. These guys will also shoot guns, and in the most recent update, thankfully, the guns, the bullets do less damage, but it's still a significant amount of damage being done, so you want to make sure that you're careful. Generally speaking, you want the turrets to be pretty much dead at this point, like so. Oh, almost there. We're going to be putting some turrets right here just to make sure these enemies won't distract us. And we want to, as long as this guy is done, that is good. And we just need to use some more damage to this last guy, and that's it. That's the final boss. Time will end when we fade to black after entering the final portal. So that is good. That is a really good time save and a PB, because this is the first run that I'm doing with the newest strat. I practiced it a little bit beforehand, and that's pretty good. And all things considered, it's not like that wasn't like the best final boss I've had, but it's still a really good final boss. And so that is, it's a gold. It actually is the best final boss I've ever done. So that's really good. And that is it. And as you can see in this last cutscene, we've found our TV remote, but we don't have enough money to buy a new TV. So All that effort and for what? But yeah, that is Trifox. That is Trifox any percent normal. A significant PB, and as you can see, it is 13 minutes faster than my previous estimate, or my previous submission. And so I'm going to be lowering the estimate, obviously, to reflect that. And overall, it's a really nice improvement to the route and a really good time saver. Obviously, this could go even lower, especially with the mishaps I had in the Mage boss and the different mishaps in World 3. World 3 is always going to have some mishaps. You can just generally just keep grinding it down. But that is Showdown, and that is Trifox any percent. I hope you really enjoyed it. Again, I would really like for this to be a race with Self-Truth Mind. I like to reiterate that this is like an October 14th release. It wasn't like September or like early September, and so we had we want to be, obviously, you know, if we get accepted, we're going to be improving more and probably have the estimate go down even more. And so, but generally speaking, this is still pretty good and pretty optimized, all things considered, based on the strats we've been given and we've discovered so far, and we're consistently learning more stuff. And I absolutely love this bureau to this game and the community that's been built behind it, and I hope that we can show this off at a really high level. And so that's all for me, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a good one. And I'm also going to show that we're on normal the whole time. I've switched from hard to normal by accident, so make sure it's on normal. This last part is for Beastie or Bam Bam. Whoever's going to verify this, but anyway, have a good one. Bye.